It's a tuna too. My gosh, you enter Walmart with the intention of purchasing food. Reliable, reasonably priced, and safe. But what if Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are correct? What if the things on the shelves we've relied on for decades are subtly harming our health? We are referring to the foods you serve your children and grandchildren. You never question the daily necessities. However, under the eye-catching packaging and affordable costs come substances that are prohibited in other nations, pollutants that can remain in your body for years, and toxins that have been connected to cancer. The portion that should make you stop cold is right here. For dozens of additives, the U.S. has lower safety limits than the EU. This means you can still have food in your grocery cart that wouldn't pass through a European border. But before we go right in, if you're worried about your health, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is where we share the facts that no one talks about. And if you're with me, please let me know. In the comment field, put 1 if you're currently viewing, and this video speaks to you. Type 0 otherwise. You are unaware of the significance of your voice. What percentage of those deals are actually slow-motion health traps? And perhaps it's time we took a closer look at what we're consuming when the proof comes from well-known figures like Musk and RFK Jr., who have made a name for themselves by questioning established systems. The truth becomes personal in this devastating story. And today, we're revealing 9 well-known Walmart foods that could be subtly changing your health narrative. First place. Marketside Celery Sticks. They are sitting in the chilly brightness of Walmart's produce section. Side celery sticks for the market. Like they've been waiting for you, they're tucked away in their tiny plastic dwellings. They appear so clean and sharp, as if they are giving you the all clear to take me home since I'm the healthier option. No time wastage, no cleanup, and no cutting board. In a world where victories are scarcer, it feels like a minor victory. Eating healthily without the trouble. Throughout the years, Walmart has been marketing the idea that convenience and security can coexist. However, that all changed in April 2025. Something you'd never see on the label was discovered by a Georgia state lab: monocytogenes Listeria. This wasn't a small annoyance. It was the very thing you believed was safeguarding your food, a microscopic squatter that grows in cold environments and multiplies as your refrigerator runs. All of a sudden, those neat green sticks turned into a silent danger, leading to a recall in 28 states. The strong and healthy may have days of illness as a result. However, it can mean a hospital bed for the elderly, pregnant women, or anyone whose immune system is compromised. Or worse. It's the mean joke that nobody finds funny. The threat can be more subtle the healthier the food appears. The worst part is that most people don't find out until it's too late. Before it reached the shelves, the contamination was not discovered. No, those packs were in shopping carts, resting on worktops, and possibly half-eaten by the time the alarm went off. Imagine a massive bacterial airport where infections can travel from coast to coast on a single unclean conveyor belt. Large-scale production facilities have devolved like that when speed is prioritized over safety. Add the human element to the equation now. For some, throwing out a $3 box of celery might not be a huge financial burden, but for those who are frugal, it hurts. One less fresh snack for the week and another indication that the system doesn't give a damn about whether you eat healthily or not. And faith, unlike foodstuffs, it is more difficult to replace. It's like discovering that the front porch you've always sat on is no longer secure for customers who have relied on Walmart as their go-to store for years. However, blaming Walmart and accusing it of greed is not enough. This company is in a race that it cannot afford to lose. Maintaining cheap prices, stocked shelves, and punctual truck movements. You don't need to be a cynic to predict that something will go wrong when the clock is ticking faster than the cleaning crews. It's a system issue, not just a Walmart issue. Perhaps you should get entire celery hearts the next time and give them a thorough cleaning at home. Perhaps you visit the nearby farmer's market to get cucumbers or carrots from smaller producers. Or perhaps you decide that no slogan is worth the danger and completely avoid pre-cut vegetables. However, the persistent question remains: if something as basic as celery can conceal a threat this severe, What else is silently grinning back at you from those shelves? And what sort of table are we setting for the next generation if we can't trust the food we've been eating for decades, one that sustains them or one that gradually erodes their well-being? Imagine this. It's there as you roll your cart down the freezer aisle at Walmart. Great value, frozen shrimp in a frosted package that's nearly winking at you. They appear pink, plump, and eager to get started. You can already picture the grandchildren at the table requesting seconds, smell the aroma of garlic butter, and hear the sizzle of a skillet. It's seafood simplified, restaurant style without the expense. For years, Walmart has flawlessly marketed the idea of reasonably priced luxury to anyone who wants shrimp on a Tuesday without spending half of their weekly food budget. However, such vision was dashed in February of 2025. NGO investigations into the world's seafood supply chains prompted independent lab testing, which discovered something unsightly concealed in some batches of great value shrimp from Southeast Asia, as well as prohibited antibiotics and dangerously high cadmium levels. Cadmium, however, is not merely a trace element. This heavy metal has been connected to kidney damage, brittle bones, and an increased risk of cancer. It likes to lurk in your body and slowly accumulate over time. The antibiotics? Both the US and the EU have banned it, because they contribute to a public health catastrophe that already kills over 35,000 Americans annually by helping to produce bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics, the kind of bacteria that doesn't back down from the toughest medications we have, and that only covers the aspect of health. If you go a little further, you'll find something even more difficult to accept. Parts of the same export chain that supplies the shrimp have been linked to forced labor, according to human rights reports from late 2024. Workers stranded on fishing boats were compared to floating prisons, living in conditions that no moral person could overlook. So it's not just shrimp in that $8.99 bag in your freezer. It's a combination of health hazards and unintended moral consequences. This is where you start to pause. Heavy metals do not disappear in a hot pan like microorganisms do. They can be boiled, seared, or drenched in butter. It makes no difference. Each bite represents an additional dose that your body is unable to readily eliminate. And the fact that this was only discovered after examinations by other organizations rather than by Walmart's own checks reveals a lot about the weaknesses in the safety net. Although it's a hard reality, there are workarounds. Some local supermarkets and wholesale clubs sell shrimp that are grown in the United States and certified by best aquaculture practices. Choose wild-caught Gulf shrimp instead, which are more expensive but have far greater traceability and less chemical shortcuts. Some people are completely replacing shrimp with domestic catfish or bay scallops, which are sourced from more regulated sources. The fine print has the secret. Look for third-party certificates, read the country of origin label, and don't be afraid to inquire about the provenance of your seafood. You should return it if your grocer is unable to respond. It's worth asking, though, how did we arrive here? Walmart has no intention of poisoning people. Like other major retailers, they are subject to the same unrelenting grind. Quickly move the product, maintain low costs. In a market that prioritizes volume over attentiveness, maintain your competitive edge. However, when matters like this are overlooked due to the desire for profit, the expense is borne by someone else. Yours. What does it say about the food chain we've established if there can be such a large discrepancy between the promise on the packaging and the reality inside? Before what's concealed in today's meal turns into tomorrow's regret, perhaps it's time for us all to take a closer look. Third place, freshness. Chocolate chip cookies are guaranteed. On a calm afternoon, the scent of Walmart fills your nostrils before you even see them. It's warm, sweet, and just a little bit nostalgic to take you back to your early kitchen days. Each cookie is chewy, soft, and nearly pleading with you to take it home. They are piled high in those transparent plastic clamshells. It's $40, so why not spend it? Since it's only cookies, you convince yourself that the treat is harmless, and it's simple to assume that someone is baking carefully when the name is freshness guaranteed. Perhaps even imagining a sweet grandmother nodding her approval at each batch. But stayed put. That cozy image fell apart in 2024. Walmart's chocolate chip cookies were among the store brand baked goods examined by independent advocacy labs and consumer reviews. Literally. What was discovered was something much less cozy than a cozy recipe. Bromate of potassium. A flour addition that is prohibited in the UK, the EU, and even California as of January 2025. Due to research connecting it to thyroid and kidney cancers in animals, the International Agency for Research on Cancer has designated it as a potential human carcinogen. Even if the FDA approves anything, it doesn't imply it's safe, especially because there is no known safe amount for human consumption. This is where it gets stuck in your teeth. In the oven, potassium bromate does not always disappear. Because some of it may withstand baking, each bite may provide your body with a quantifiable dosage. That gradual, undetectable accumulation over years can tip the scales against older persons or anyone managing chronic diseases. You are unable to taste it. It isn't odorous. It is even more harmful because of this. Wrapped in the comfort of a dessert you grew up believing in, it lurks in plain sight. And freshness is assured? That is less fact and more marketing jargon. Before it even gets to the store, a large portion of this dough is combined, frozen, and transported from industrial facilities. Ingredient integrity is frequently compromised in that process by cost and shelf life. The end result is a processed product that looks like a bakery treat but contains an additive that your body didn't need or ask for. Now, you don't have to give up dessert in order to give up these cookies. You may pick up a clean ingredient cookie mix or visit a nearby bakery that takes pride in using flour free of bromates. Avoiding potassium bromate has become a priority for companies such as King Arthur Baking, or perhaps go totally uncomplicated. If you bake Mothwat's mashed bananas with oats and dark chocolate chips for 10 minutes, you'll have cookies that are completely satisfying and free of carcinogens. The habit is the key. Examine the label. No matter how harmless it appears, put down any potassium bromate or bromated flour you come across. Because there is still a larger question. How many other safe store favorites are merely ticking clocks disguised as delights if the most American of comfort foods, chocolate chip cookies, can conceal a risk like this? And when even the little pleasures we take for granted have consequences we can't afford to overlook, what does that say about the food system we've permitted? It would be impossible to discuss American comfort cuisine without bringing up packaged mac and cheese. For decades, it has been the kitchen's go-to quick fix. It's inexpensive, satisfying, and ready faster than bringing the children to the table. The Great Value Edition from Walmart takes that tradition and puts it squarely in the realm of affordability. The same creamy texture, cheesy delight for a fraction of the price. This type of arrangement gives you the impression that you have outwitted the system. Walmart sells almost the same thing for pennies, so why pay more for Kraft's orange nostalgia? It's the safety net for many households on weeknights. The warm, tender food that resembles a bowl embrace. When March 2025 arrived, the situation soured. A collaborative report from a university lab and a U.S. group focused on food safety revealed something unexpected in a kid-friendly meal. Phthalates. No one should consume these industrial compounds, which are used in plastics. However, they were found in some Great Value boxed mac and cheese batches. Phthalates are categorized as endocrine disruptors and have been connected to issues with reproduction, childhood developmental delays, and an increased risk of developing several types of cancer. The worst part is still to come. They don't simply drift aimlessly. Because of their ability to cling to fats, thick, creamy cheese sauce serves as the ideal vehicle for delivering fats directly to your body. There are probably two locations where the contamination occurs, both in the flexible plastic liners inside the package and during the manufacturing of the powdered cheese mix, where fatty dairy powders may absorb residue from processing equipment. Heat cannot solve this type of issue. No matter how much boiling, stirring, and melting you do, those chemicals won't go. What about the actual sting? Who consumes the majority of it? For senior people who need something quick, comfortable, and easy to chew, as well as for families that are trying to stretch every grocery dollar, boxed mac and cheese is a mainstay. This implies that the individuals who are most susceptible to the negative health effects are frequently the ones who receive the highest dosage. We boxed, which was an easy bitch up, year after year and meal after meal. It's more than just what's for supper tonight. It concerns the accumulation of little exposures into a more significant and enduring issue. You don't have to give up mac and cheese because of this. White cheddar and Annie's homegrown organic shells routinely have lower phthalate levels and don't use artificial coloring. Alternatively, you can take charge of the recipe. Comfort food without the chemical hitchhikers can be made by boiling your favorite pasta and adding a little milk to melt real shredded cheese. Better equipment and phthalate-free packaging can make even some frozen varieties from transparent brands safer. Examine the package the next time you're in the pasta section. Linings made of paper are a positive indication, and companies that disclose independent contamination testing demonstrate that they have nothing to conceal. Perhaps it's time to keep a product on the shelf if the company won't disclose its current status, because it's not just the mac and cheese that's at issue. It concerns if the comfort meals we have relied on for many years are subtly altering our health without our knowledge or consent. What other items in our shopping carts might be participating in the same game if they are? The fifth, excellent bargain, ground beef. Throwing a large family pack of ground beef in your Walmart cart has a certain, even legendary quality. It has a connection to weeknight spaghetti that can feed a whole table without breaking the bank, Sunday chili simmering on the stove, and backyard barbecues. This is the magic trick of the working class. Purchase it once, use it on meatloaf tacos and burgers, and you'll feel like you've saved money on groceries. It's more than simply meat. It serves as the basis for 12 distinct dinners, each of which embodies a different aspect of American cuisine. However, such peace was shattered in January 2025. After regular testing revealed the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service issued a Class 1 recall notice on over 16,000 pounds of excellent value ground beef. The strain known to be one of the most deadly foodborne pathogens is E. coli 0157:H7. This is not the type of illness that will go away in a day or two. It is the one that has the potential to progress into hemolytic uremic syndrome, a type of kidney failure from which there is no assurance of recovery. Health officials weren't holding back when they disclosed hospitalizations linked to the substance in a number of states. Avoid consuming. The issue with E. There is more to ground beef coli than just bad luck. It is ingrained in the process of producing meat on a huge scale. Bacteria primarily reside on the surface of a steak or roast, and a good sear can eliminate them. However, when flesh is ground, the outside turns into the interior. Additionally, the virus is blended in like sugar in coffee if even one contaminated trim ends up in a large grinding batch. The risk is increased by Walmart's procurement strategy, which sources beef from several locations and areas. Meat has traveled so far that it is practically difficult to identify a single spot of contamination by the time the package reaches your basket. The timing is what makes this hurt even more. Customers were still able to purchase tainted meat despite the recall. The beef was already in supermarkets, freezers, and possibly even thawing on kitchen countertops when it was set off. It's like having a concealed time bomb lying behind the freezer door for senior consumers who buy in bulk during sales in order to stretch a fixed income. Local is a safer option if you want ground beef without the sense of a roulette wheel. The risk is significantly decreased by a butcher who grinds meat from whole cuts in-house. Smaller-scale options such as ground lamb or bison are frequently the result of more tightly controlled supply chains and less product mixing. And you grind your own at home from a complete chuck roast? You have complete control over what goes into your diet, and it's easier than most people realize. Your strongest personal defenses are simple. Never assume a brown center indicates safety. Cook all ground beef to at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit and avoid tasting it before it's done. Color is deceptive. It's worthwhile to develop the practice of consulting the USDA recall database prior to stockpiling. Sell-by dates are irrelevant to coli. Perhaps it is the most significant reality here. We must consider whether the true cost of inexpensive meat has been subtly taken away from our health for years, when something as simple, well-known, and cherished as ground beef might pose a tiny risk that could land you in the intensive care unit? How many other kitchen essentials have been withdrawing in the same way without our knowledge? This type of thing gives you the impression that you're taking good care of your physique. Through the plastic, a vibrant bag of fresh greens, shredded carrots, and a splash of purple cabbage practically beams at you. The preferred salad mix has been Marketside Garden from Walmart. Take a look at me. I'm eating well. Bought to put up a make-your-own salad bar without scuffing a single cutting board, or for last-minute potlucks or quick lunches. It seems like an easy win for seniors who want to improve their greens without the hassle, eating healthily while waiting to open a suitcase. However, no one anticipated the gut hit that came in June 2024. The FDA and CDC reported that an epidemic of Cyclospora chitinensis, a microscopic parasite that settles in the small intestine, was linked to multiple lots of Marketside salad mixes that were sold at Walmart. Furthermore, this isn't your typical wash it and it's fine scenario. Cyclospora finds your sinkerins amusing. Removing it requires certain chemical treatments during industrial processing. More than 200 people had become ill in several states by the time the recall was implemented. Hospitals are receiving dozens of patients. The symptoms like something from a nightmare, weight loss that isn't healthy, weeks of constant diarrhea, and exhaustion that feels like you're walking through wet cement. That combination can be extremely taxing for elderly folks or those who are already coping with health concerns. What the investigation found was the deeper cut. There were several good farms. Every link in the system was another blind place for something to get through, and the contamination was entangled in a web of suppliers dispersed over multiple nations. Furthermore, Cyclospora does not just perish in cold storage. It can calmly wait for its next host for weeks at a time. The clock is already running when the mixture reaches your refrigerator. The treachery is what exacerbates the situation. It is not the purpose of a salad mix to be a gamble. When you're actively attempting to avoid going to the doctor's office, that's what you choose. Finding out that it harbored a parasite is like finding lead shot in your life jacket. To avoid the risk, you don't have to give up greens entirely. Purchasing entire heads of cabbage or lettuce and giving them a thorough cleaning at home. It does require some time. It can greatly reduce the risk, particularly when rinsed with vinegar water. If convenience is a must, seek out companies who support their triple washing claims. You can check online with independent pathogen testing or come up with some inventive recipes. Use hearty raw veggies like bell peppers, cucumbers, or radishes in place of the leafy greens. Crispy, vibrant, and less likely to harbor Cyclospora. Make it a practice to check the FDA's recall list before adding a bagged salad to your cart if you're still eyeing them. Additionally, regardless of how fresh they appear, never eat them after the best purchase date. The most perilous delusion in the produce section is the appearance of a parasite, which lacks warning colors. This leaves the question hovering over the salad counter like a cloud. How much danger is in that bag when the meals we grab for to keep ourselves healthy are the ones that land us in the emergency room? And how much of what ends up on our plates is predetermined by the vast anonymous supply chain? A peanut butter jar in the pantry is like an unbreakable promise. When the refrigerator is empty, the sandwich spread comes in handy, the last-minute meal that only requires a piece of bread. When you simply cannot be bothered to prepare, this late-night comfort food is served right from the spoon. That trust is the foundation of Walmart's Great Value peanut butter. It promises the same creamy texture and memories of childhood lunchboxes, but it's less expensive than the major brands. But that trust was taken by surprise in October 2024. Tests revealed aflatoxin levels over federal safety standards, prompting the FDA to announce a recall of many Great Value peanut butter lots. There are more reasons to avoid aflatoxins in your diet. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified them as Group 1 human carcinogens, the same group as tobacco smoke and asbestos, created by specific molds that develop on peanuts kept in warm, humid environments. High concentrations of aflatoxins can result in severe poisoning and are associated with liver cancer. Additionally, you cannot roast or fry your way out of the problem, unlike germs. The roasting, the grinding, and all the stages in between do not harm these chemical poisons. The way this occurs is really unsettling. Peanuts are kept in enormous bulk lots in extensive supply systems. Mold can grow and spread if even a little portion of that crop is left out in bad conditions for an extended period of time. It is possible for tainted peanuts to be mixed with perfectly good ones when storage or blending procedures are shortened. Additionally, they cannot be separated once they are mashed into butter. The jar appears, smells, and distributes normally by the time it lands in your pantry, yet each nibble subtly increases the chance of cancer. It's a betrayal that doesn't become apparent until it's much too late for elders and frugal consumers who depend on peanut butter as an inexpensive protein. Peanut butter doesn't have to go off your table because of this. There are smaller batch brands that check each batch for aflatoxins and report the results. These are frequently worth the extra money. Another choice is to use sunflower seed or almond butter instead. Because of their distinct growth and storage circumstances, they are less likely to develop mold. Additionally, you have more control over what you consume if you're feeling ambitious and want to make peanut butter at home using freshly roasted peanuts that you purchase from a reliable roaster. A small amount of preventive is quite beneficial. To lower the risk of mold, keep nut butters in a cool, dry location and use the jar within a few months after opening. Additionally, occasionally look through the FDA's recall database, particularly for store-brand nut butters. Contamination by aflatoxin is a known recurrent hazard in the industry, not a rare accident. This is the part that lingers. One of the easiest and safest foods we can purchase is peanut butter, a mainstay that has long been a fixture in American cuisine. You can't taste, sight, or smell a carcinogen if even that can conceal it. How many other healthy foods are hiding dangers in our cabinets that we won't realize until it's too late? Tuna in a can has long been the reliable protein for people on a short budget. When money is tight, you can have tuna salad for lunch, casseroles on Sunday, or right out of the can. Great Value Tuna from Walmart guarantees the same flavor for less money. However, independent laboratory testing in August 2024 showed that mercury levels in some batches were higher, above the European Union's more stringent 0.5 ppm guideline and the FDA's 1.0 ppm limit. Mercury is a serious pollutant. This neurotoxic has been connected to memory loss, cognitive decline, and motor impairment. Older persons are particularly vulnerable to cardiac problems and hastened dementia. The danger is right in front of you. Mercury builds up in large tuna over years, especially if suppliers employ larger, older fish, or forego thorough testing. Unnoticed level spikes are possible. Mercury is not affected by time. Next year, that can in your cupboard will be just as dangerous as it is now. For families that depend on tuna on a weekly basis, minor exposures add up to long-term harm, which is sometimes concealed by nebulous symptoms like exhaustion or forgetfulness until the damage is irreversible. Safer wagers? Select mackerel, sardines, tinned salmon, or skipjack. Mercury-free and frequently more sustainable. Stick to brands that release testing results and limit your monthly intake of tuna to 2 or 3 servings. Because what else is subtly undermining the health it purports to promote if even this commonplace pantry item may offer a hidden neurotoxin? There is a sort of halo around honey. Imagine nature's sweetener flowing directly from hive to jar. Walmart's great value. Honey appears to be a cost-effective and healthful option for senior citizens, reducing their intake of refined sugar. However, a multi-state food authenticity inquiry conducted in May 2025 found that numerous batches had been tampered with using maize and rice syrups. Honey laundering is a swindle. In addition to dilution, tests revealed that a large portion of the honey was sourced from foreign vendors who had previously been reported for using chloramphenicol, a prohibited antibiotic connected to aplastic anemia, a rare but frequently deadly blood condition. This goes beyond simply purchasing honey and syrup. Pollen, which has antibacterial and antioxidant properties, is removed during adulteration and replaced with table sugar and other inexpensive sugars that raise blood sugar levels. Even worse, import prohibitions have previously been imposed in the EU and Canada due to chloramphenicol contamination. This isn't innocuous for elderly people with diabetes or compromised immune systems. It poses a direct risk to health. The shelf stability of honey allows contaminated jars to remain in storage for years. Local raw honey, real source certified brands, or 100% maple syrup from reliable suppliers are safer options. Steer clear of blended or ultra-filtered brands. Additionally, if the price of honey looks too good to be true, it most likely is. What other threats might be concealed by the foods we eat on a daily basis? Join us in discovering the truth by subscribing right now. I appreciate you staying to the very end. To ensure you don't miss our daily content, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you found this video useful. Check out some of the best and most recent videos that are now displayed on your screen. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.